Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. This video is about the model reading and explanation of the third lesson, The Little Girl. Now just see before you read. Do you feel you know your parents better now than when you were much younger? Perhaps you now understand the reasons for some of their actions that used to upset you earlier. Here the writer Katherien Mansfield asks a question. Do you feel you know your parents? When you were very little, then you were upset due to some activities of your father and mother. But now you are young. At this age, you can understand your father and mother about those actions which were make you upset. This story about a little girl whose feeling for her father changed from fear to understanding will probably find an echo in every home. This story is about the changing attitude of a little girl towards her father. Actually, a little girl who feels about her father that her father is a cruel and unkind person. He does not love her. Now just see this story. To the little girl, he was a figure to be feared and avoided. Every morning before going to work, he came into her room and gave her a casual kiss, to which she responded with, "Goodbye, father," and oh, there was a glad sense of relief, relax, when she heard the noise of the carriage car growing fainter and fainter, slow and slow down the long road. In the evening, when he came home, she stood near the staircase and heard his loud voice in the hall. Bring my tea into the drawing room. Hasn't the paper come yet? Mother, go and see if my paper's out there, and bring me my slippers. To the little girl named Kezia, her father was a figure to be feared and avoided. She frightened every morning, but her father loved Kezia. Every morning before going to work, he came into her room and gave her a casual kiss, and to which she responded with, "Goodbye, father." But she felt relaxed when she heard the noise of his car fainter and fainter. But in the evening, when father came home, then she stood near the staircase and heard his loud voice in the hall. She again frightened to see father and listening his heavy voice. Kezia, mother would call to her, "If you are a good girl, you can come down and take off father's boot." Slowly the girl would slip down, came down quietly, slipped down the stairs, more slowly still across the hall, and pushed open the drawing room door. By that time, he had his spectacles on and looked at her over them in a way that was terrifying, frightening to the little girl. "Well, Kezia, hurry up and pull off these boots and take them outside. Have you been a good girl today?" "I don't know, father." Her mother would call Kezia. Kezia, if you are a good girl, you can come down and take off father's boot. Slowly, the girl Kezia would slip down, come down the stairs. More slowly, she would open the door because she frightened. By that time, her father had his spectacles on and looked at her over them in a way that was terrifying to the little girl. As he said, "Well, Kezia, hurry up now soon and pull off these boots and take them outside." And asked, "Have you been a good girl today?" She stuttered, uttered, stammered, "I don't know, father." "You don't know, father? You don't know? If you stutter like that, mother will have to take you to the doctor." Stutter, stammer, or utter. She never stuttered with other people, had quite given it up, but only with father, because then she was trying so hard to say the words properly. Kezia always stuttered in front of father because she frightened, but she never stuttered, stammered with other people. "What's the matter? What are you looking so raised about?" "Mother, I wish you taught this child not to appear on the brink of suicide." Here, Kezia carried my teacup back to the table carefully. Father aware to mother about the poor condition of Kezia. He was so big, his hands and his neck, especially his mouth, when he yawned, opened his mouth. Thinking about him alone was like thinking about a giant. Here, Kezia describes the figure of her father. He was so big, his hands and his neck, especially his mouth, when he yawned. Thinking about him, as she says, thinking about him alone was like thinking about a giant. On Sunday afternoons, grandmother sent her down to the drawing room to have a nice talk with father and mother. But the little girl always found mother reading and father stretched out on sofa, his handkerchief hanky on his face, his feet on one of the best cushions, sleeping soundly and snoring, breathing and making noise. She sat on a stool, gravely, seriously watched him until he woke and stretched and asked the time, then looked at her. "Don't stare so, Kezia. You look like a little brown owl." On Sunday afternoon, Kezia's grandmother sent Kezia to father and mother to have a nice little talk, but usually she found father stretched on sofa and mother was reading newspaper. Saying this, she felt nervous and she sat down on a stool. One day, when she was kept indoor with a cold, her grandmother told her that father's birthday was next week and suggested she should make him a pincushion for a gift. for a gift out of a beautiful piece of yellow silk. Laboriously, with a double cotton, the little girl stitched, sewed, laboriously, hardly, stitched shoes three sides. But what to fill it with? That was the question. The grandmother was out in the garden and she roamed into mother's bedroom to look for scraps, tiny clothes. On the bed, on the bed table, she discovered a great many sheets of fine paper, gathered them up, tore them into tiny pieces, and stuffed, filled, filled her case, then sewed up the fourth side. That night there was a hue and cry, hue and cry, clamor in the house. Father's great speech for the Port Authority had been lost. Rooms were searched, servants were questioned. Finally, mother came into Kezia's room and asked, Kezia, I suppose you didn't see some papers on a table in our room? Oh, yes, she said. I tore them up for my surprise. What? Screamed mother. Come straight down to the dining room this instant. This instant, now sharply at this time. And she was dragged down, pulled down to where father was pacing to and fro, walking to and fro, hands behind his back. Well, he said sharply. Mother explained, described about the matter. He stopped and stared, looked attentively, stared at the child. Did you do that? No, she whispered, spoke slowly. Mother, go up to her room and bring down the damn thing, now waste thing. See that the child's put to bed this instant. One day, her grandmother aware Kezia about father's birthday. She suggested she should make him a pincushion. So she took a beautiful double cotton. Laboriously with a double cotton, Kezia stitched sewed three sides. But what to fill in it? Actually, that was the matter. So she searched the matter here and there, whole house, but she couldn't find anything to fill it. So at last she entered into mother's bedroom and found some papers on the table. She gathered them and tore into tiny pieces and filled it. That night there was a hue and cry, very clamor, because great speech, important speech of father had been lost. Room was searched, servants were questioned. At last, Kezia's mother entered into Kezia's room and asked, I suppose you didn't see some papers on the table in our bedroom? Oh, yes, Mama. But I tore them. You tore them? Kezia was dragged, pulled roughly by her Mama. Kezia was presented in front of father. When father knew about the matter, he ordered to close Kezia in a dark room. Crying too much to explain, she lay in the shadow room watching the evening light make a sad little pattern on the floor. Then father came into the room with a ruler in his hand. I am going to beat you for this, he said. Oh, no, no, she screamed, hiding under the bedclothes. He pulled them aside. Sit up, he ordered, and hold out your hands. You must be taught once and for all not to touch what does not belong to you. Kezia was closed in dark room. After some time, father came into dark room. A ruler was in his hand, and he said to Kezia, "For once, you have to learn the lesson. For all, not to touch what does not belong to you." But it was for your birthday, Papa. But it was for your birthday. Down came the ruler on her little pink palm. Hours later, when grandmother had covered her in a shawl, and rocked her in a moving chair, the child clung, stuck to her soft body. What did God make father for? She sobbed, peeped slowly. Here's a clean hanky, darling. Blow your nose. Go to sleep, pet. You will forget all about it in the morning. I tried to explain to father, but he was too upset to listen tonight. But the child never forgot. Next time she saw him, she quickly put both hands behind her back, and a red color flew into her cheeks. The McDonalds lived next door. They had 5 children. Looking through a gap in the fence, the little girl saw them playing tag in the evening. The father with the baby, Mayo, on his shoulders, 2 little girls hanging onto his coat pocket, ran round and round, and flower beds shaking with laughter. Once he saw the boys turn the hose on him, and he tried to catch them laughing all the time. Then it was he decided there were different sorts of father. Kezia used to say in her neighbor, there was another father, McDonald's, who had 5 sons. He used to play with sons and daughter. After seeing them, Kezia decided that there were different sorts of father in the world. Suddenly, one day, mother became ill, and she and grandmother went to hospital. The little girl was left alone in the house with Alice, the cook that was all right in the daytime. But while Alice was putting her to bed, she grew suddenly afraid. What shall I do if I have a nightmare? She asked. I often have nightmares, and then Granny takes me into her bed. I can't stay in the dark. It all gets whispery. You just go to sleep, child, said Alice, pulling off her socks. And don't you scream and wake your poor pa. The same old nightmare came. The butcher with a knife and the rope, who came nearer and nearer, smiling that dreadful smile. While she could not move, could only stand still, crying out, "Grandma, Grandma!" She woke, shivering, trembling to see father beside her bed, a candle in his hand. "What's matter?" he asked. "What's matter?" he asked. "Oh, a butcher, a knife, I want Granny." He blew out the candle, bent down, and caught up the child in his arm, carrying her along the passage to the big bedroom. A newspaper was on the bed. He put away the paper, then quickly tugged up the child. He lay down beside her, half asleep, still, still with the butcher's smile all about her, it seemed. She crept close to him, snuggled, tucked her head under his arm, held tightly to his shirt. Then the dark did not matter. She lay still. One day, her mother was ill seriously, so she went with her grandmother to the hospital. At that time, Kezia was alone with her cook Alice. The daytime was all right, but the night time she feared. When she thought about the night, she feared, frightened. Actually, she used to see nightmare, a butcher with knife and rope. So she feared. When Kezia was sleeping and her cook Alice had gone, then the nightmare came, a butcher with a knife and rope. Kezia was shivering, trembling on bed. She screamed, "Grandma, Grandma!" As she opened her eyes, she found father was beside her bed, a candle in his hand. "What happened?" "Oh, a butcher, a knife. I want Granny, I want Granny." Her father blew out the candle, bent down and caught up Kezia in his arm, carrying her along the passage to the big bedroom. Then he led beside Kezia. Kezia's head was on the chest of her father. Now she could hear the heart beating of her father. Then the dark did not matter. She lay still. "Here, rub your feet against my legs and get them warm," said father. Tired out, he slept before the little girl. A funny feeling came over her. Poor father, not so big after all, and with no one to look after him. He was harder than grandmother, but it was a nice hardness, and every day he had to work and was too tired to be a Mr. MacDonald. She had torn up all his beautiful writing. She stirred, moved suddenly, and sighed, breathed. "Relax." "What's the matter?" asked her father. "Another dream?" "Oh," said the little girl, "my head's on your heart. I can hear it going. What a big heart you have got, father dear." Father slept because he tired out, but Kezia was listening the heart beating of her father. Now here she felt, she recognized about the father. Her father was not a cruel and unkind person. He is also a kind person, but he had to work and was too tired to be Mr. Donald, Mr. MacDonald. She moved a little. Father woke up and asked, "What's the matter?" She said, "Oh, my head's on your heart. I can hear it going. What a big heart you have got, dear father." Okay, thank you very much.